be fair. It is time to talk about things and stuff, and maybe other things. I don't really know. I haven't decided yet. Fellas, chat with me. Tell me how the day's going.
Why don't you start us off, Lyle?
Oh, today was a great day for me. Yeah, I had 13 meetings today at my job that I just quit last week, and I'm on, that.
Why are you
that
going to
nebulous
meetings
time.
that you're on? I'm not going to lie. There's no chance I'm going to random meetings for a job that I'm not going to be at anymore. Hey, guys, if you didn't see me at the meeting, it's because I didn't go. So just throwing that out there.
This was definitely something I told them I would do before I told them I was going to leave. So it really felt like it would be a dick move to not do those things.
Oh, man.
So.
I was just about to say that, too. Today was a great day. Didn't even have to use my AK. The famed thespian Ice Cube. I'm going to take some drugs real quick. So, as I'm saying, hey, it's Jersey Mike. What up, what up? So, today's going to be, Tom wanted to have some actual format, everything scheduled today. And I said,
just something scheduled.
And I said, the people want to talk for our first time on the Monday show. They want to see us. They want to talk about us. And we want to get your opinion on what everybody wants to see. And that's a big deal because we want to talk about whatever the hell we want to talk about, which is going to be everything from the meta to tournament recaps to the reasons why I don't really like pancakes or waffles. So we're going to talk about all of those things.
Wait, okay, hold on. Important question here based on that. This is important. What do you consider to be the primary difference between pancakes and waffles other than squares? Like, if the square is not on the table, how would you differentiate pancakes and waffles?
One's crispy, one's squishy.
Thank you. That was what I said when I was talking about this last week. And then I had squishy waffles this weekend, and I was mad.
That's not even a real thing, man. You can't be doing that kind of stuff.
No, you could ask Heidi. I was legitimately upset that my waffles were not crispy.
And I understand that. As well you should be. But in the big thing, here's the thing. I'm going with Lyle because I'm a bad planner. And I forgot that he had even invited me. And we're going to somewhere in North Carolina, I think.
It's basically Charlotte. It's Metro Charlotte.
And as usual, I don't have an army ready and I don't know what I'm going to take. And I'm debating, I think I'm going to bring bugs, man. I haven't played Tyranids in like years and years and years. And those are, I feel like Tyranids are the pumpkin spice latte of 40k armies. Just plug it in, put my Ugg boots on, basic bitch that shit up, and just wander out. And I started to make an army, and I literally went, I'm gonna get all this tricksy stuff in. And instead I just had a Neuro, 2 Hive Tyrants, 3 units of Warriors, 2 units of Zoes. I'm like, I just made the same army as 90% of everybody else. That's probably why they're so damn good.
The best part is that you agreed to go to this tournament on the day we have a class scheduled. It was fantastic, Brad. Just typical, not paying attention to things we have scheduled.
Well, I didn't actually know when we were going, so there's no way for me to double book intentionally when I don't know where I'm going to be ever.
Brad is, if anything, he is his life is dictated by the winds of fate.
Dude,
you just go wherever those winds blow him.
I roll the old Warp Storm table to find out how my day's going to be. Sure hope I'm not going to get a low roll here, guys.
I think what, as recompense for the class snafu, I think you just need to let the community vote on what army you take.
Well, Brad, never do that. Brad, because I will pay everyone to make him take the worst army every single time.
But
And he knows
but
that.
here's the
They'd
thing.
have to give it to me,
I
though.
know Brad has done that because I've been at an event where it happened.
That's true. This is true. I have done that.
I hope Brad likes playing Kroot Tau because that's gonna win the vote for a while.
Now, you can't pick the exact army. You can pick the faction. And if you pick Tau, I'm going to put a murder on folk. I'm going to take this dude named Jamis Togden's list. And I'm going to start trashing people.
Jamis Togden died at ATC.
And then
so
I came out
He has
blasted.
been dead for a few months. Yeah.
rest in peace of that mad fool.
You know, I want to talk about that because I think, and I had a big argument about this. I was talking to some of the English boys, and they were saying they get a ton of Tyranids and just like warrior spam lists and stuff like that. And I actually thought that Tyranids were actually at a disadvantage to your style of Tau list in the meta right now. Now, it requires a really good pilot, but I feel that the amount of damage that you can do to an army that has a very hard time hiding because of their big footprint. I mean, all the warriors are what, on 50s or 40s?
I think they're 40.
It hardly matters.
Either way,
I think they're on
it's
50.
yeah, it's a big footprint.
It's not just that. There's 9 of them. So
Yeah.
I have a hard time hiding 5 crisis suits sometimes.
Right. And the thing is that the army with the volume, and I love having Longstrike in there. I like Tau Sept a lot. I've argued about this quite a bit between Kroot.
Did we
I
lose
think we
audio?
lost Brad's mic.
Brad, I think we lost your audio, bro. Yeah, he's talking, and
Yeah, we see him talking.
Hold up. How about now?
there
we go.
there we are.
How
There we are
long? How
again.
long was I just talking to the void?
Yeah, I was like, I don't know if I just got disconnected or if what's going on.
No,
I thought you were taking a very serious pause for a minute.
I had to think. I had to think about it for a long time, everyone. I really had to collect my thoughts. No, but I think that Tau Sept. I would argue that. I really like Tau Sept because of not even just because of what it does, because of the characters. I think that Longstrike is insanity. The fact that one, he's just a buffed up hammerhead that hits most of the time, but the fact that he gives a marker light to a unit is just buck wild. That guy's just
I think
crazy.
his Willow trade's pretty sweet as well.
Yeah. I mean, and they can put some serious damage on stuff, and you can get out of. I like the fact that they have certain matchups that are auto wins. There's not a ton of armies that have it. There's a lot of armies that have favorable matches where you just grind them out and you're probably going to win. You know what I mean? But Tau have matches that you can just go, okay, I'm gonna Tom this up, and I'll just be done, because there's certain matches that just can't get across the board.
I don't
And
know if Tau can really do that. That sounds a little silly.
Yeah.
I
Love it, Manny.
I learned from both of you this weekend. I took lessons from both of you this weekend, or last weekend at RTT, and because I'm derping around with some Farsight Enclave stuff right now because I know Tom will disown me if I say that I'm taking it seriously. But I played an Eldar opponent. I think he was, I don't know all the elf thing. I think he was Bealtan on table quarters, and I got to go first. And I Tom'd the shit out of him, and I just ran straight forward and shot his entire army on the first turn.
There's a big thing on that.
Because it's very hard to hide on table quarters against Tau when they go first.
Yeah, that's a dumpster mission for them. And you have that with the Tau. And there's not a ton of them. You can actually do that a little bit with the Tyranids in a different way, because you can just push on people that, and that's what I talk about quite a bit, and we will be talking quite a bit about it, is the fact that every time you make a list, you have to have a minimum amount of damage. It doesn't have to be all damage, but you have to have a minimum amount of damage, and I call it the damage check on that, because if your opponent just pushes up to the middle and you can't do anything about it, it doesn't matter how tricksy you can be. If you can't kill them off those middle objectives, you're just going to lose, because you can table them and table them by 4, and it doesn't make any. Who cares? You know what I mean? You didn't score any points, and you're still behind on that.
See, I like that philosophy, but I'd like to take it a step further. I don't really like to bring utility things because that's just boring. I just want to bring all damage. That's all I want.
Normal humans can't play like that, Tom. The rest of us have to actually have things that we can use to win the game with tactically, as opposed to just dropping a people's elbow on your opponent. Like, well, my tactics are going to be take all 5 objectives and put banners on them because they're going to be gone. So it's always going to work out.
First off,
my current list has about 400 points of trash. And I know that if I explain this to Tom will be like, that's a whole crisis unit you can take right there. Cut all of that. Take a crisis unit.
It's a crisis unit and then some points. Like, my crisis squads are like 350. That's.
I do like the fact that you guys have said nothing about the fact that we're literally sitting on a background full of pictures of me, some of them in high school.
So, real quick. So, just for everyone's aware, we're going to be doing a show every Monday at 7 o'clock. Kind of goes with our soft launch of our meta crew that we did last week. Where DOG is finally doing coaching. I know it's been a long time of us being asked, and I tried to push it off as long as I could out of laziness, and Brad's finally broke through that barrier. And
I'm very excited about classes, everyone. And we'll be doing online and in person. I'm actually very excited to do some in-person classes, and we will talk about the site of those because we're going to try to make it as friendly as possible for everyone to come. And then we're going to dedicate those classes, but we're going to dedicate them to, we're going to go on the Discord, which Tom says if I don't look at more, he's going to beat me with a stick. So
I mean, the man made me do this, and then he doesn't show up Discord. It's like, yeah, I'll help out, and then I'm doing all the work right now. I'm like, this is fantastic, Brad. I love you to death. Thank you, Brad.
Just like, I have to redo. You guys already know the last time we were talking about sending Brad a message was basically the same as mailing him a letter. So, but the thing is,
I want to be real clear though for our audience that I am not involved in the coaching, so the quality is still very high. You don't have to worry about that. You're getting the best.
You're involved in the background a lot of stuff, and we had our first master class, so. Basically, the coaching is going to be done differently than most organizations. I'm not going to trash any organizations. I don't want to like talk down what I think they're doing. But when I agreed to do this with Brad and a couple other people, the goal was to keep the costs as low as possible because I think it's an expensive enough hobby as it is. So we're pretty much doing it through Patreon. And we basically, through Patreon, you get access to the coaches through the chat. Most of us, 3 of the 4 are active, very, very active in the chat, the channels. And then you get some list services from us, and we'll do one master class, which is included with your Patreon every month, where we'll let you guys vote, and it'll be like that month's theme of that class. And between the 4 coaches, we have experts on every faction in the game, multiple GT winners. Some of us are super major winners. So it's pretty cool. This month we had a tile master class that I took part in, and every single person so far that's reached out and gave me feedback on it said it took a lot from it. So, and the next month the voting has been done already. We're doing demons. So love or hate them, TJ is one of us. TJ is going to be helping me with the master class on demons. The guy's fantastic when it comes to demons and all things chaos. All around great guy. So I'm excited to see how he does there. I'll probably be involved with him a little bit. And pretty much through the classes, we run you down through list ideologies, and we explain like how you make your list, what your thought process going behind there, secondary choices, deployment for player place and GW style. And then the fun part of it is towards the end, we'll run through some specific scenarios on TTS and show you some things that some people might not have thought of, but also allow every person who's a part of that class to have a few moments to talk about their style and what they would like to have questions on and stuff. So it was really enjoyable. I'm excited to see the next one. But then on top of that, we will have extra classes going on that'll have a theme as well. Like we have one that was supposed to be next week's probably gonna get pushed back a week, unfortunately, due to some double scheduling. We'll have all 4 coaches on there. And it's just a fun way of doing it, more interactive. And I think we're gonna do a really good job at it. So far, the feedback on our soft launch has been outstanding. And then we'll have a video every week that will basically join it. You'll have coaches on here. Me and Brad will probably be on every single one. And then we'll rotate to other coaches and other people who help us out, like Lyle and him, discussing the current meta, our meta, our tournament experiences and stuff like that. So I think it's going to be really cool.
I'm excited because I'm going to be doing a lot of the classes from me are going to be on I mean, I guess people call them basics, but I think that people don't do enough basics if you want to be completely honest with it. I see the same mistakes, and I saw this a lot. I judged at Michigan GT, and I got to walk around a little bit more than I usually do. And between that and just my normal just wandering about, I just see the same things happening over and over again. And I'm going to do back to back classes, whether it's in person or we do it online. It just depends. But we're going to do it in a group setting, and I'm going to go over things, just deployment. But I'm going to spend a lot of time, and I don't know how popular it will be, but it's very something that I'm really passionate about, which is tournament etiquette, tournament preparation. And I'm not talking about just trying to get yourself to go 6-0, 8-0, 5-0, whatever you're trying to do. I'm talking about being prepared for an event to have the best time you can have and do the best you can do. And that's a big thing because people set arbitrary goals to themselves and everybody's getting better. I learn things all the time still, man. Like, you know what I mean? Between how to handle yourself at tournaments. And there's a fine line of everything of being too stern, too lax, too partying, too not partying. You know what I mean? And I want to talk about all those type of things and how you go about them and have yourself a great tournament. A great tournament doesn't mean that you went 8-0. A great tournament means that you played a lot of fun games and you played the best you can play currently. You know what I mean? You did the least amount of mistakes. You scored your points. You had a good time. You were a gentleman. You were sportsmen. You weren't trying to scam people. And you also prepared enough so that you're not nervous. I see so many people get to the table and they play really well throughout the tournament and they play a top guy and then they fall apart a bit because they start thinking outside of what they can do. And I want to talk about preparing for that because there's a ton of times some people in this window decide to play a completely different game instead of playing the same game. We're not winning at the top tables by doing crazy new stuff. I just do the basic shit more often than you do. That's it.
And I think what Brad's getting off, first off, I think that should be a theme in every one of our videos. I think it's such an important lesson to learn. And, I think playing as a gentleman intent is a fantastic way of going about it. Being mentally prepared. From a lot of things, I talked to a lot of people. Everyone's like, well, you play a named player, like you just automatically assume you're gonna lose. I'm like, no, that's silly. Like nobody's a named player until they're a named player. I mean, last year, if you remember this, Brad, I wasn't a named player last year, even though I played in hobby years ago and I was gone for a while. Like a handful of people knew who I was, and it wasn't until you made me promise to take this season more serious that people started recognizing my name. But you don't know what you're capable of, what the other person's capable of. Play your game plan, have your mental preparedness. But whether you win or loss, or lose, I'm sorry, not loss, but lose, just play it right and play it fun, And another thing I think Brad was talking about there is never allow yourself to get put off your game plan. It's everyone does it. Newer players, experienced players, top players. I played a game at Chicago Open, and I played against Harpster, who was an absolute gentleman. It was a blast to play against. And I allowed myself, from not asking the right questions and not being familiar with one of the secondaries, to get into a slightly uncomfortable position. And I played a passive game, which I think most people know me that I don't play passive. And then when I get put into a game mode that I don't know how to play, and I just don't play well in it. So lost the game, and I have nothing bad to say about the game. Harpster played it correct. He was a blast to play against. I had a lot of fun in the game, even though I lost. But the lessons learned is that you don't ever want to change your style, and you don't want to get in your head too much and overthink things. We all do it. So I think it's an absolute fantastic call out, Brad. And I think it's something we should always try to hit on every episode is play the game right, play it with fun. I don't think anyone should put goals on themselves. I don't think you should I want to go 4-2, 5-1, 6-0.
I think that's too stressful, man. And I've done that in the past, though. I've been a culprit of that. I've been one of the people that have done that, in the fact that I put so much stress over the past years, sometimes even semi-recently, of, man, I got to win this entire event or the event's lame. And I'm like, and I paused and went, no, it's not. I'm going to have a great time and play good games. We're playing with toys in the end.
I think one of your best tournaments you ever had was you went to a tournament. I'm not gonna name the name of it because It'll become clear if someone ever watches this, and I don't want to target anyone. But we had not such a good game against somebody who didn't play the rules right, whether it's malicious or by an accident. Who knows? I'm not going to accuse the person of anything. And it puts you in a little bit of uncomfortability of that tournament, right? But I think the coolest thing I've ever seen was when a top player unexpectedly takes a loss in the early rounds. You came back the next day. You were a blast to be around. People who normally would never get to play against you got to play against you. And I remember your next game the next day. The guy's like, "Dude, I'm playing Brad Chester." Like your opponent was like so pumped because I got lucky. I got lucky and finished my game in like 30 minutes. I walked over and this guy's like, "You know what I'm playing right now? I'm playing against Brad Chester. I never thought I'd ever get the chance to play this dude. Like he was geek." And
It's still Chicago. All you have to do is have me fall apart, not be able to play my games because medically I'm jacked, and then show up the next day. If you put me in the middle bracket, I will wreck that bracket. I had such a good time though. It was so easy peasy. And the best part is I'm playing in a random bracket with demons who are a fast army, and Tom's in the top, I think in the semifinals actually, and he still came over to watch my game. Hey, what's going on, man? I'm like, how are you still done this fast?
I think the only games that went the best thing was when I played semifinals against Harpster. We're on stream and our game's over in 30 minutes, and they're like, "Yeah, they talked out their game," and Harp's like, "No, we played it. We actually played our game. If you go back and watch it, we didn't do anything." I was like, "Yeah, I played a passive game, and apparently, I'm not very smart when it comes to passive games." And at one
You weren't
point,
doing that crazy Brad math in your head.
Yeah, at one point the aggression needed to kick down, and for some reason that game was like, "Nah, man, I'm gonna sit back here and just stay behind, and it's gonna be all right." But I mean, it was fun. But my only games I went to time in that tournament was against Vanilla, both games. So, like, funniest thing I've never had that happen to me before, but I had to play Vanilla back-to-back games. We played in.
You played in detention again. Did you guys know that Tom got a timeout at Chicago? I walk over to the games, and all the
Not
top,
me, all
no,
the time.
the top 16's playing, and then there's 3 empty tables, and then Tom and Anthony are playing in the corner like they just got a timeout by themselves. It's like, what are they in trouble? Why are they playing all the way over there by themselves?
No, they took the next 2 tables for a stream.
Yeah, sure. You got a timeout. They're like, you sit down.
Mine and Anthony's games were very cordial. It was pretty funny though because we played round 4, and then round 5 the bracket start, and I went in the bracket as number 1. He went as number 16, and then we literally played back-to-back games. I've never seen that before. It's like we finished our game, about 2 hours go by, and we're playing again. And it's like, all right, let's do this again.
I understand how that happened. I just feel like there should be something built in to say that can't happen. It just seems like unfun.
Yeah, just go, hey, remember the guy you just played? Do it again.
Yeah, let's have this game over again. I think, though, honestly, I kind of see it both ways, because if you don't do that, there's a way you can game it. You know what I mean? You can have a chance to try to manipulate who you play against. So, I don't know.
I hate that anyways, to be honest. Let's just, to be fair, just score your freaking points. Stop trying to manipulate stuff. I remember for the longest time, 1 played 2, 3 played 4, all the time though. That was in every tournament, because they switched it. And now we play random pairings with undefeateds just because of the fact that we had people trying to manipulate who they played. And I always thought that was so stupid. You know what I mean? Just how about don't do that? Just play your games. Score as many points as you can. Turn your score in. There you go.
All right, so I got a couple questions for you, Brad. Let's get in here real quick.
Hit me.
All right, so I did ask our Meta Crew guys things they'd like us to bring up today. Before we get too much of a tangent, let's get into it.
I was about to say,
So question,
you gotta herd me, baby. I'll talk about some random stuff.
Brad will talk forever, especially if it's about him.
Favorite topic.
So here we go. So first question I got for you. How to approach dealing with an army as aggressive or more aggressive than your own? For example, what if you're playing a mirror match like Tau vs. Tau or Knights vs. Knights? But maybe more complex and third interesting to talk about would be mostly a scoring army such as Necrons, facing down a more murderously capable force such as Blood Angels.
Biggest thing is you have to have your game plan. The problem is that the one of the top 3 mistakes that I see constantly, just all the time, and everybody can get into it, is reacting to the board instead of having a game plan for the board, especially if you're playing a slower army. It doesn't even matter if aggressive army is coming in. Sometimes you're just going to have to punch. If somebody comes at you, just crazy time. A Blood Angels player, Tom being crazy, you have to react to some stuff, but you have to have your overall game plan, because if you're playing something like against something like Harlequins or something like that, and you're playing a slower moving army, I just watch it all the time where they move away, and I just coach a lot. So I just see people just the most common thing that people tell me is, I felt like I was playing in turn behind. And that's because you don't have a game plan. So you have to have a game plan. And one of the biggest things to do with that is go on your basement, the game store, TTS, whatever, deploy your army, deploy your terrain, and don't put anybody up against you. How are you going to be able to take your objectives, your secondaries, your whatever on turn 1 and 2 if there's nobody playing against you? That's how you start to figure out what you're going to do. Because what happens is you're not pre-measuring. I say it all the time. All of us mess it up here and there, but you got to pre-measure how far your opponent can go, what kind of angles he can get, and that determines where you're going to go, then where you're going to go the next turn. But the thing is that every time I put my hand on a model, and I'm not making this up, this is how I'm able to wander around with my wine, is every single time I touch a model, I say, how am I scoring? How am I denying points? How am I setting up for the next turn? And that's a real thing. I think they do that every single time because I see too many people just pushing stuff out. I don't have a plan.
There's a couple of things that I've meant to jump in on tonight, and I didn't get a chance to, but I keep going back to in my head. We all went to an event in Maryland a few weeks ago, and I remember the last one. That event was transformative for me in a lot of ways.
I've never had that hard of a win path ever in a tournament.
So nuts.
That event was maybe the most murdery row of events I've ever seen in my life.
Bro, every opponent I played at games like a top 50 opponent in ITC at that time. Like,
yeah.
It was some cutthroat stuff.
I want to go back and talk about that event in a minute if it's okay. But on this topic specifically, in my last round I got I had the pair down because it was a weird event. There was a lot of rounds and people there weren't too many people at the top. So it ended up being a pair down to where I think I played a guy who had like a 500 record or something last round. He was 4-3 in the last round, something like that. He was playing a very stock meta Black Legion army with Abaddon, like full buffs on everything. The normal like Terminator brick, all that stuff. And I knew exactly, I was playing Blood Angels in that event, which is something I was just like doing for fun, but I put some reps into it ahead of time. And I knew exactly when I sat down at the table, I was like, I can't kill the Terminators, I'm not going to try. I can't kill Abaddon, I'm not going to try. So I needed, where are my points? What is my secondaries I took? And how am I going to get 100 points this game, or as close to 100 points as I can, without having to kill the Terminators, having to kill Abaddon, and having to go anywhere near where they are? How am I doing that? And so every single turn, I'm looking at, okay, where are my points? Where are my points? I would shoot units off, and they died to score me points right away. And when I debriefed, I won that game. I think I scored 95 points in that game. And I was debriefing with my opponent afterwards, and he said, I have not played against anybody before who seemed to be so obsessed with their secondary points. Like every single turn, you're talking about, how am I scoring my secondary? How am I scoring my secondary? And it was like half of what you said was about why you were doing stuff to score your secondary. And I've never played against anybody like that. And I thought I was just coming forward and attacking you. And it just didn't matter because like you didn't care what I did. All you cared about was what your secondary plan was. And it pays, like it makes a huge difference if you have a person who is focused on that versus someone who's not.
It's about points. I can't tell you that the amount of times I've won the game in games where I'm just getting devastated. And especially when I'm getting devastated, because a lot of times when your opponent gets ahead, gets a couple phases, dice rolls go his way, and picks up extra stuff that he wasn't going to, they get that bloodthirst, and then all of a sudden they're out of position, they're overextending, and I'm just trying to, exactly what you're saying, Lyle, still trying to stay with my game plans, score all my secondary points, and then you get to the end of the game and I have like 2 models left. I'm like, all right, well, I win by 4. You're like, what? Like, yeah, man, I've been scoring this entire time. You've been just killing me. Yeah, exactly. Except for Tom, it's about murder. He's like,
Yeah. Well, Tom's game plan, he has a plan and he sticks to it. It's table you in 2 turns and then score points.
yeah,
Well, the thing is, it's not. People say that. So I hit a little bit. We went over what I call my list ideology in the last masterclass we just had. Not trying to plug our masterclass, but I'm just talking about. We just had a big talk about this. So and it was like mind blowing for some of these people I talked to. Like, in my opinion, no matter what list I've ever built, whether it was my Black Tempers who didn't try tabling people in 2 turns, they tried doing it in 5 turns. My list is built around an ideology of what I want to do, what secondaries. I don't walk to a table and I'm like, all right, let's pull this book up and figure out what secondaries. No, I know the top 2 secondaries I'm going to take every single game, almost every single game. And then for that third one is like maybe 4 or 5 I'm choosing from, right? So it's about the ideology list. How does it play? What is its strong points? What am I focused on? What am I going after? And once you get that in there, your list is designed to work the same way like every game. That what Lyle said becomes secondhand knowledge. I agree with you. It's important as you're developing it. You need to focus on it. You need to play your list the same way every time for that to just become secondhand knowledge. To where your thought process is, okay, I already know I'm going to score my secondary. I don't got to think about it anymore. How do I take your secondary from you? Unfortunately for people when they play against my current list, my Tau, that ideology is I'm just going to kill your models for you can't score secondary points. But you look at my Black Templars, there was ways I denied people, the way I move blocked and did stuff. My Dark Angels did the same thing. It's an ideology. I understand what I want to do. So when I get to the table, I'm not thinking about my list anymore. I'm asking questions about your list. I understand how it works and how I can stop it because mine's just secondary. And then you also need to make sure you have like traps almost. I don't want to call them traps, but kind of like traps. So like we were talking about secondaries for Tau and like some of the questions I had is like, all right, well, why do you take banners? Like, I feel like you can't always get 15 points on banners, but you can more reliable in your list probably get 15 points more often with ATR. And I'm like, well, the problem with ATR is I have to change how I play my list and dictate my movement.
Yeah. But the thing is like a lot of people want to score that at the end of the game, and there's a lot of times when you don't want to do nothing. You know what I mean? You're like, I can either score these points or I can kill this person off this vital objective. And then you're just like, you have to make that decision. You're just like, well, this seems like a shit decision.
Yeah. And for me, with banners, I never have to make a decision. I just grab my points in the beginning. I try to grab 2 points in the beginning with my pre-game moves and one of my commanders. But also, it makes my opponent react. Like, do they try to stop me from killing them? Or are they going to send one of their fast-moving models to try to take one banners down? Like, I played in, I'm not going to press names because I hate calling people out and I don't want to act like they're bad, but I played against a very high-ranked opponent in a recent tournament, and they made like a 10-inch charge to go after my crew on a banner. And I'm like, all right, like, I love that. Okay, stop banners for a turn. That 10-inch charge could have probably been in crisis suits or something that I don't want you touching turn 1. And yeah, you killed my crew.
I'll go back and forth about that though, because one of my mantras is don't lose to trash. Because you just can't have people with crude or chaos cultists or whatever sitting in your backfield. So there's you don't want to throw real units away, but you don't also want to lose to junk. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Brad, you are such a wishy-washy man because you both advocate don't lose the trash, and then you also tell people they need more.
Oh, they need more trash. I'm saying, but I'm trying to win with trash. But you see that
trash is never a healthy thing.
Yeah. You see that a lot with, for instance, a lot of the top chaos lists have so little in their backfield because they're pushing up so strong with like the current creations of wild stuff is like being so aggressive, and they have such a weak backfield that if you get into it, it doesn't even matter if they push everything. And I love your talk about having somebody with 1 billion points on one objective. Everybody stop going into that. If somebody's got 10 Terminators and 3 characters, or they have 9 Tyranid Warriors and the Hive Tyrant and the Neurothrop and somebody else, like, don't go there.
In our current season, there's always at least 4 other objectives.
Yeah, I
You
mean,
don't
just
have to go to
they're
that one.
all the same. And the thing is that one of the biggest things that everybody doesn't do, will show like a lot, is man, there's a ton of times where move blocking and killing other shit is the play, and it's actually the play a lot, to be perfectly honest. It just stop people, especially armies that don't have fly, Tyranid warriors, chaos terminators and stuff like that. Just put some nonsense literally in a U around them. They can't go all the way around to get to the next objectives. Make them sit there for a turn, go kill some other crap, give them a 4 by taking that neutral objective. You don't have to kill everything. Matter of fact, you never have to kill that at all.
But Brad, if you had been in our coaching session on Saturday, you could learn that not only can you move block with trash, you can just move block with the 400-point crisis suit unit if you want to.
That was a great move. I love that move very much. But can we just all agree on one thing real quick?
I'm very
There's
tall.
nothing more enjoyable in this game when someone puts this block that's supposed to be unkillable. Like, don't even waste your time. Don't even shoot it. This thing doesn't die. You might get 2 or 3 of them. And the look on their face when you pick up all 10 of them, it is very good.
I was standing there when you at our Frogtown event when a teammate told you, he's like, "Oh yeah, you'll never kill this unit," and Tom like he was like moving units, and he's like, "Oh really?"
That is literally the way to
like,
bait Tom. You can 100% bait Tom into a move by just going, "This unit can't die." Tom will like immediately change his game plan and go, "Well, we're about to show you." Hold on.
I was going to take these objectives. Now my goal is to kill that unit. And he's like, the teammate had like these Terminators wrapped around his Demon Prince because his Demon Prince was like all souped up and stuff. It's like, yeah, not only do you not kill these Terminators, this Demon Prince is going to need a lot of stuff next turn. Not only did I kill the Terminators, I also killed the Demon Prince. It was great. I killed the Terminators.
Some point,
and then Longstrike was like, here you go. Take 12 wounds, please.
at some point in the future, Tom is going to be on Team America. He's going to be over there in Europe for the World Team Championship. And his opponent, who barely speaks English and has never heard of Tom, is going to be like, yes, our team wins the entire event because I have this unkillable unit in my backfield. And Tom's going to be like, bet. And he's going to go single-handedly win the event for Team America.
Well, we'll see.
YOLO Swaggins, just right up in there. But there's a big deal on that, man. There's typically you can just stay away from, especially if people are overcommitting to an objective. You can just especially if they have a slower army with that. Well, like the reason why you're like, I'm Death Guard. You're like, I've got 1 billion points here. I have Terminators here. You're like, I don't care, man. Enjoy moving limping along. I'll be other places. That's why it's such a big deal when we talk about having your game plan. Because if you're playing those Terminators, you're playing Death Guard, you're playing Deathwing, you're playing whatever, a slower type army, and you just randomly have to follow 22-inch moving boats, Harlequins around, you're just not going to have a fun game if you're just constantly going, I almost got there. I almost got there.
Yeah. All right. Now let's flip this question real quick. Tivadar asked right afterwards, what's the vice versa? So we just talked about how you play against an aggressive army with a scoring army. How do you play against a scoring army with an aggressive army?
The biggest things is don't get lured in. Most of the time, and this doesn't apply 100% of the time, it applies most of the time. If you find yourself fighting on not an objective, you have probably just been lured somewhere by someone to get off that objective. Because you're punching something not on objectives, it usually means you're in the open and you're not taking away points, you're not scoring points. That's a huge deal with aggressive armies, is you have to be in synergy with your primaries and your secondaries. We joke about Tom tabling people, but like Tom takes secondaries and his overall primary game goes hand in hand with how aggressive he is because he takes the objectives from people as he's doing that. He's not just killing stuff to kill stuff. He's taking the objectives. He's taking the board. Same thing that when you're playing an aggressive army, you're playing a Blood Angels, you're playing an aggressive Tau, you're playing whatever. Anything that's trying to clear people out, you have to be fighting on the objectives or fighting on things that give you your secondary. So if you're taking Relentless Fury and Forlorn, Relentless Assault, whatever, You're killing some death company, and you're trying to get in your opponent's deployment zone, and you only have to do it by literally a quarter of a base. That's when you can go take advantage of killing something off to the side and doing a little bit. But if you're not getting secondary points or primary points or refuting points with your aggressive army, you're not in the right position, and that's why you're having a harder time scoring your points.
And I also want to hit on, don't get baited. So another thing we talked about in the Tau class was like how I use my planes. So sometimes I'll leave them on the board, and I will flash how deadly their shooting is and how devastating it can be to you. But then I will put them, like we'd use this as the Blood Angel example, because someone asked me how I play against Blood Angels. I'll leave my planes in a lane where if you charge it, your guys are seen by everyone. So I'll literally do that. I'll shoot, flash them, leave them on the board, and then some Blood Angel players, sometimes they'll fall for it. They'll move over, they'll charge that plane, and then they can't get their guys all hidden at that point. I just got to see one guy, and then my Christ Squad goes, oh, that was a nice Sanctuary Guard unit, and now it's gone.
And it's a big deal, and that's the same thing we were just talking about on that. Just, you can't be fighting in the middle of nowhere. I mean, it just won't work. There's sometimes when you have to just accept something is just you're not getting to it that turn. And the other thing is stop going for it all the time. There's so many times when it's like, I'll use the knight example for a second because I just see this constantly. I see people playing knights all the time. They bring up their small knights, and instead of, what they do is they jump out and they kill 4 knights. Like, I killed guys. And then the army picks them up. They can't figure out what happened. What you want to do is kill 2-ish knights, but put yourself in a position where you killed everything that could have responded back to you. You move block anything else. And basically, if you pick up 2 to 3 knights a turn, you're fine. Literally, you are going to win that game. The other thing about that is being baited. Don't get baited again into your opponent's big thing. You're playing, I'll use the night game again. I was talking to Austin Winfield at that tournament we were talking about. And weirdly enough, right before we played, we're sitting around.
By the way, the tournament was Let Freedom Ring by our boy Birdsong.
And we stayed at his house. This is literally a conversation at his house where we had, I think there was a house that had more good players than I've ever seen in one spot ever before. But we were all sitting in the house and we were talking about it. And I looked at Austin. We had a couple of drinks and I go, why do people try to focus fire your big knight? You know, the guy with a 2-up, 4-up, trans hitman, no rerolls to hit or wound. I'm like, why bother? Kill every little guy. You can't score. It doesn't even make any difference. And he's like, I don't know. And then we played. I killed all the little guys. The big guy ran around. I move blocked it for 3.5 turns. And then I won the game. And then I played his next.
His big knight in turn 1 though. So
yes, of course. Tom
and almost all his little.
Yeah, but that's consistent with everything else we've said during the stream.
Yeah. So everybody else.
Brad baited me in that though. It wasn't even our game. Brad says you can't kill that big knight.
This is true.
And I looked at us as if we play, that big knight is dying right away.
Right. So yes, if you're not Tom and you don't go crazy style. But the thing is that you can just, especially the big knights, everybody talks about the fact, oh, they can move over me. Yeah, but they still have to finish their move legally. Yeah. So you can just put your guys, a lot of them just move 8 too. You know what I mean? So just measure it out. Also, man, have that conversation. It's a conversation, guys. And I know that tons of everybody that's watching and will be watching, you guys play by intent this area. So it does a great job about that. The bad thing that I see is you have to not just play by intent. You have to have a conversation about your intent. It's not enough to say, this is what I'm trying to do. If I'm playing Lao right now, I'm going to say, hey, I don't want to be shot by your guy before I move my models. I don't want to be shot by this. Let's measure out real quick so we both agree that I can be here. Can you help me to make sure that I won't be seen by your units the next turn? That's how you get to intent and not being seen. You have your opponent and you work together, come together, synergy. But you really, because you're not going to have arguments on that. You can't just declare that I don't want to be seen. You have to work with your opponent because he also might be able to move farther than you think. Your opponent will literally help you beat them in a game if you give them the chance to. because I'm playing Tom right now. I'm going to say, hey, Tom, I want to be outside of this. I don't want to be seen. And he's like, actually, I can move this far because the Cold Star can do this, or I can deep strike the Cold Star. So all of a sudden I get options where he's making sure I'm not getting gotcha. He's going to tell me, he's literally going to tell me the best ways to put my models when you're playing against him. And you can get that all the time. Just get good rapport with your opponent. Have a conversation. We're literally playing a toy game. Talk to your opponent.
And real quick, a question from Don. So he said he's playing in a tournament at the same place in Maryland you all played with the set layouts. Was it easy to play aggressive Tau? I'm gonna actually be honest with you. That was the hardest tournament where I had to play Tau because Anthony and the guy that helped him design the terrain did a really good job. Like they have it.
They fixed it from they fixed it after the Maryland Open. I went there and I won the Maryland Open when I was there, and they had treated all of the buildings as just open except for the one big one, and it made it just so that Tau was just a nightmare because you could touch anything and see everywhere. They treated them as glass buildings because they had holes in them, so they just said you could see everywhere, and then they got feedback from it, and that's what I really do enjoy. And I feel that everybody should do this. I don't care if you're watching a podcast, going to a tournament, doing whatever, even GW, big tournaments, little tournaments, whatever. Give people feedback, but do it in a cool way, everybody. No one's going to listen to what you have to say if you're like, well, here's the 10 reasons that you suck. Put the thing, and I have to give Birdsong props on this because he listened to a lot of his feedback and he made changes. Maybe they're not the perfect changes yet, but they're trying. Everybody give him a chance. If people make adjustments, I love that more than anything. You don't have to get it right every time, but as long as you're trying to get it right, that's what actually means a big deal, man.
Yeah, I mean, we do the same thing with I know with Motor City Mayhem, both like playing and painting, like we've made changes every year based on feedback. I think as long as the feedback's not you just being a dick when you don't need to be a dick, like I think tournament organizers love to get feedback.
100%. Well, I tell that all the time. Tell you the truth, you can get a lot of stuff through the GW. They make a ton of mistakes, but they do get a lot of things right. Go to their stupid community page and put real comments, because there's a dude whose job is literally to read that. Seriously, there's a dude. I may have drunkenly picked him up when I met him and humped him in the middle of a GW party, but don't do that and give him real feedback. So
you humped James Workshop, Brad?
The same part I showed up and Brad walked over me and waddled drunk, 2 glasses of wine. Said, we're getting drunk. I'm like, Brad, this is a GWTO party. Like, we're supposed to be talking. He's like, no, we're not. We're getting drunk.
I need to give you the background for that, by the way. So I'm getting a little lit, and I'm hanging out with Kramer, the big guy with the robe, and we're just chilling, and we're downstairs at Adepticon, and I'm in my happy face. I'm like, am I okay? Is it okay basically where you get drunk, not just like casually drunk? And we're down by the fire. We're going to play some board game. There's a bunch of my friends around me. I am surrounded by a protective shell of people that will keep me safe in my drunken state. And then as soon as I get drunk, Kramer decides, oh yeah, I forgot that I have to go to this TO meeting. I should take Brad. And just wheels me in and kind of pulls the cord and just throws me into the room like, woo! I finally wake up out of my blackout induced nonsense and literally look around and go, where am I? And somebody's like, how did you end up at the TO party? I go, nope. And I ran up the stairs and went to my room. I was just like, I'm out of here, smoke bomb.
Or you can get Brad super drunk and he'll just buy you bottle service.
No, screw you. And by the way, the worst part about that is we're on the way to the tournament, and I tell Tom, dude, I'm real tight on money, Tom. I'm real tight on money, Tom. You gotta watch me. I can't be burning. And my thing was, I don't want to be burning a bunch of money on going to too many places to eat. Let's eat at some more basic stuff. First night we're out there, woo, making it rain.
I get one of our mutual friends goes like, hey Tom, I think you failed in Brad duty tonight. I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, yeah, when I just left that bar down there, because I was at a different bar. He's like, when I just left that bar down there, Brad was ordering his 3rd set of bottle service. And just for you aware, he has to prepay it up front. It's $1,000 per bottle service. I'm like, God damn it. So I walk over there and he's in the middle of ordering his 4th bottle service. There's like 5 DOG with me, and there's like these people that Brad just met, and Brad is hammered, just hammered with him, buying everyone bottle service. It's like, nope, we're done. I'm dragging you out of here. And the guy's like, well, he's got to pay for it. I was like, listen, you guys got 3 off of him. Y'all can pony up and get the 4th one. And I was like, and if you don't want to agree to that, you see those guys out there, they're with me. We can talk about this a different way if you want, but he ain't paying for this bottle service.
Is this the same event where the you can't beat me? Yeah.
we get to the bar, right? We get to the bar I was at, and I was actually being sober for once. Like, I'm being sober for once. And Brad's upset. He's like, you dragged me away from all my friends. Like, Brad, they're not your friends. You just met them. You dragged me from all my friends, though.
No, that was the time he called me out of this. He goes, name anybody that you were with. And I was like, well, that doesn't matter.
He goes, they're my friends. He goes, and if you were my friend, you would drink with me. It's like, Brad, when I'm not drinking tonight, I want to be sober. Like, no, if you cared about me and you're my friend, you will drink with me. I'm like, Brad, are we playing this card? He goes, you fucking right, we're playing this card. I was like, all right. I looked at the bartender. I was like, 12 shots each, please. And Brad's like, this is what I'm talking about. Like, Brad, you're doing every shot with me, though. Fast forward to me blackout drunk, I get a call from Pete. And he's like, yo, you guys all right? I'm like, what do you mean? He goes like, yeah, it's like 6:30 in the morning. Your round starts at 7 o'clock. And you guys have been posting videos all night. I pull up my phone. There's just a list of videos of me and Brad completely blacked out drunk posting, meeting random people and just posting with videos and posting them into our group chat. It was pretty embarrassing.
I specifically remember there's one video where like some random guy just like, and you guys start talking to him.
He's wearing a medium. He's wearing a medium.
It was Zeke, bro. Andy and Zeke were hanging out with me. We just met Zeke that night. That was like my intro to him too. I'm like, hey man, do you have any adult size clothes that you could put on?
Yeah.
He's like, good to meet you also.
The best part, me and Brad had people come and hang out with us all night. Like, at one point, the bartender's like, yeah, you guys had a line to meet you guys. Like, what? We did? He's like, yeah. People just want to hang out with you guys. So it's like 6:30, and we're still pretty messed up. And we're like, dude, we got to find a way to the tournament. These 2 people we never met before had to, like, hold our hands, basically, and walk us to the tournament. And they carried our models for us. Because we still had our box of models with us. Well, Brad had, like, this little cardboard box just thrown in there.
That's where Horton actually found my stuff for me. He goes, good job on not taking any of your shit off the table. Here it is. I got it for you because you're a child.
I had mine with me, but mine was in that big black spaceman backpack.
Oh God!
This
Tom's on the 1969 on the moon back. That's fantastic.
It's a Sweet Army case for one. It's a Sweet Army case. I love it. But this random guy I never met before is like, that's okay, Ogden, I got you. Puts my backpack on, puts his arm around me, and walks me to the tournament.
You know, I find solace in the fact that there's no way this could ever happen this weekend because our tournament this weekend, Brad, is definitely not inside of a Dave & Buster's. So there's no way any of this could happen.
No, but here's the sucky part. I can't drink right now.
Oh, you got some medical stuff?
Right after, I basically went directly to the doctors after the Chicago. And here, I'm going to give you a story. It's going to be a funny medical story. I'll make fun of my own impending death. But I go and I get some tests. I get scanned up. They look at my shitty brain, and I have my regular neuro and I have a neurosurgeon there. And he is one of the, like, basically you Google no bedside mannered doctor guy. And effectively was telling me the things that I shouldn't do. And I'm explaining like how I make a living. I go to tournaments, I coach, I get out, I go. And he's like, these are all triggers for super bad migraines and they can lead to a lot of your other problems. And effectively he just goes down this and I'm like, so I should just stay home and be in the dark? And he's like, yeah. I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to do that, man. I'm like, what is your patient mortality rate? Like 80% because you tell everybody that they're not allowed to go outside or see the sun? Like, and he was just so taken aback by like me going, yeah, man, I'm probably not going to live underground and never talk to anyone. Yeah, like, and he's just like, well, your brain will break then. It just wanders off. I'm just like, what? How is that like an actual thing? Like, I just assume that guy's a surgeon, gets home and just goes into a dock and just sits there and recharges or something. I'm like, what? Get the fuck out of here, man.
That sounds like an untenable solution for sure.
Yeah,
That would
it's
not
just
that would not last long.
you have to live life. Like I'm big newsflash, falling apart, but I'm just not gonna not do. You're not gonna do anything that's double negative, whatever. I'm just gonna live life some. Otherwise, why are you living? You're like, I'm just the angry guy in the dark that lives to be 400 years old and hates everyone.
Look, I just want to put this out there, and I don't make. I hope this doesn't come across in bad taste, Brad. But every second we get 1 second closer to the legitimate running of the Brad Chester Memorial Team Tournament Invitation.
I'm surprised that it's already not been run, by the way.
I'll give you a promise, by the way, Brad. If that ever happens, I swear to God, I will be the most fucked up drunk guy for you. I'll drink for both of us.
I like
and
that.
I'm gonna win that tournament completely fucked up.
I just want you to know, Brad, that I petitioned hard for the upcoming team tournament to be named the Brad Chester Memorial Invitational, and I just was shot down. There are some people who aren't quite as fun as the three of us, I guess.
I mean, it's me. We're actually making the joke about my death. So if I'm okay with it, I feel like everybody should just jump on board.
There you go.
We have
this is Brad going on the record right now.
We're getting close. We're getting close to the end of this video. So I had one more question I've got to ask.
Hit me.
I want to do it for Monster. So Monster, if you're still watching, this is for you, bud. What is your thoughts and strategies when you are playing from behind?
I'm super big on this, guys. This is a big thing. This is near and dear to my heart because I see too many people, and I'm gonna go into a team rant. Of course, team's the best way to play because every turn counts. You can't just mail it in because it's differential. The big thing on playing from behind is you can't get tilted and start going for Hail Mary. I see this all the time. I see it especially against both of you guys, actually, because you play Tau and you play Tau well. And you get up on people, and then they start making these Hail Mary, YOLO swag plays when all you needed to do, get your head back into the game. Literally, after you have a terrible turn, your opponent rolled all sixes, you rolled all ones after you made a bad move, because that's when you get bad dice, is after the gods see that you made a mistake, and now they punish you. Go get a drink. Literally, go get your wine, go get anything. Chill out for just a second, hit the bathroom, get your head back. You're never going to win playing tilted because you're going to play non-optimal 40K. Non-optimal 40K does not win from behind. But
I got two things I want to add to this. Both are Brad Chester stories. Both are stories against me. So the first one, we were playing in a super hard RTT. For those who are not from the Midwest, some of our RTTs here, which in the beginning of the season. So towards the end of the season, we stopped, like the top players stopped playing them because we got our points for RTTs. Beginning of the season, you see a lot of us in those RTTs trying to get those tournament points, right? And they get really competitive. So me and Brad's playing, I think it's the first RTT of this season, maybe second. And I'm just smoking the shit out of his models. Like I'm tabling them left and right. We're going to turn 4. So I'm like, let's score this game. I was like, yo, man, I'm way up on Brad. Like it's not even close. And Brad's like, actually, he does this little, pushes his glasses up. He's like, actually, I'm actually ahead by 8 points. I'm like, get the fuck out of here. So I have to alley up the points. I'm like, man. Brad's like, yeah, Tom, you just been killing my models.
God, that was that Michigan tournament.
Yeah. He's like, you just been killing my models, and I've been just getting points. I'm like, all right. So I had to sit there, and I had to actually think for my last turn. Like, I pulled up by 1 point. And, but it's just like Brad was saying, you're from behind. I'm crushing his models. He's like, nope, I'm going to get my second. And he almost beat me because of that. If that one random didn't walked up and I wouldn't have actually looked at the game state, I probably would have lost that. Second story, ACO, final game before the cutoff, right? Me and Brad's going into it ranked 1 and 2. Brad's playing Drukhari in its heyday of, flamers, everything. Just absolutely.
Liquiflyers.
I'm playing my Dark Angels, which was designed to kill Drukhari. And Brad goes for a pretty safe play. Me doing my swag, go full Tilton. And Brad's like, you shouldn't do this. If it goes bad, you're gonna lose the game. I said, yeah, but when it goes right, I'm gonna win this game. And it went right. I started crushing Brad's models. And so we're like halfway through the game. Brad, you know what, Tom? We're way up on time. Let's go get a drink because I need to reset my Zen, basically. And I'm like, yeah, dude, let's go reset your
Well,
Zen.
the funny thing is you help me with this because you just go, you do realize that even if I table you, you're probably going to either tie or win by one because we both went this way. Because as usual, my Eldar battle cry of "not in the face" applied, so I ran away.
Yeah, so we walked away, got a drink. Brad reset himself, and then he pulled, like, if you'd ask anyone at that point, like, Brian wasn't DOG yet, so he was like impartial, and even Brian was like, yeah, if I had to bet, there's no way Brad was winning that game. And then Brad reset himself, kept himself calm and collected, and pulled it out by like 2 points. Was it Brad? He pulled some miracle shit on his ass and beat me by 2 points that game. It was actually pretty enjoyable to watch him to do what he did. But the point is that he didn't allow himself to get tilted. He didn't tailspin. He started looking at secondaries. He's like, all right, I'm playing behind with models, playing behind the points. What do I do to win? What's the game plan? He sat there. Unfortunately, we had to play with the clock, which we made Brian control because neither me or Brad wanted to run that fucking thing.
I hate the clock.
So do I. And me and Brad's like, we're like, what if we don't want to play this? You guys are top table. You have no choice. Yeah. So you're going to get us a judge? And so Brian's like, I'll run your clock. So Brian ran our clock because neither one of us was touching it. And Brad just sat there. He came up with a game plan. And it's all about finding out how your army scores, what it wants to do. And he did it. He did it great and won the game. And then we got a rematch 2 games later. And that one didn't go so well for me. That one went really bad.
I feel like I walked away from this story with a very different moral than you did, and that it sounds like if you're losing, you should stop the game and get your opponent drunk and then start again.
Oh,
Man,
no,
that's also a great
I was already
plan.
drunk. Brad got himself more drunk.
Yeah.
That's the moral of the story is drink and play 40K.
Yeah. It's a big deal. And the thing is that you have to keep your head in the game. One, you're going to have a better time because no one's having fun when they're tilted. Get your shit back together, figure out how you can play. And the thing is those type of wins are actually super, super rewarding and they mean a lot. And we'll talk about those games for a long time. And the thing is that even if you don't come back, man, it's super fun to talk about the game. Like I talked to a game with Minnick where I rolled 22 of 23 failed 4-ups and he made like all these saves and this and that. But like, those are a good time and you'll remember. You know what games I don't remember? A random game where I won. I want something weird to happen. I had to pull it out. I got destroyed. I failed all my charges. I made all my charges. Whatever. You know what I mean? Those are the games you keep bringing back up over and over where you had a good time, you learned something and things of that nature.
I very clearly remember my first tournament with Tao in this edition. And this was back when I'm going to put memeing in quotes because Tom really disagrees with this. But I was memeing with 3 Storm Surges and other stuff in the list. And I was playing against pre-nerf Custodes in this first tournament. And I even with 3 Storm Surges, I was not killing the Custodes at a clip that you would really like to kill Custodes at if you want to like win at the end of the game. So we get down to this really close game and I'm like, oh, I'm going to lose by like 3 points. I need to figure out like, is there anything I can do going last or going on turn 5 where I can find these random 3 points somewhere to at least tie this game and try to have an undefeated tournament? And I'm like, all right, here's the plan. We're going to do all the indirect into these Sisters of Silence back here that are holding this objective. We'll kill them. Then we're going to charge the Custodian Guard here in the middle with 5 Crisis Suits that I'm 1 inch away from so the Bat Guy can move like 10 inches past them and touch that objective so I can get my last 4 points at the end of the game. So I remember this random thing of like, I looked at the points like you guys were talking about, kept my cool, figured out exactly how many points I needed, and came up with a weird-ass play that was a way that I could just randomly find 4 points that would not normally be part of the Tau game plan. And I totally agree with you. Like, I'm going to remember that game forever. I was playing against Hilla, and I remember I told him what I was going to do to win the game, and he looked up at me. He's like, that's dirty, Lyle. I don't know what you're doing. That's dirty.
Well, we're getting to the end of the video here.
Wrapping it up.
So I had a lot of fun. This is our first video of the Metal Crew. Just for those who are not aware, so we're finally doing it. We got 4 coaches right now. We got me, Brad Chester, the mighty Emperor himself. TJ Lanigan, the chaos expert, and Brett and Weiss. So we got some pretty good coaches lined up, having fun, doing it a little bit different than organizations. Mostly classes and Patreon, not trying to do anything crazy, monthly subscriptions or individual coachings. Trying to keep it affordable for everyone, yet take a lot from it. Brad is the mastermind behind these classes. I think it's going to go well.
Which is also why you're going to have to see me with my new clip for me pleading to help out with the Patreon. You'll see that a lot. Everyone.
I'm just here. I'm not a coach, but I'm here to prove that coaching works and that no matter how bad you are, you can get good. And I genuinely think that we should talk about that next week, because I think for a lot of people who are always asked, how can I get better? How can I improve? There's a lot of really basic stuff that we could talk about that you guys, because you guys will admit, if we could do this as a teaser, you guys will admit I was trash not very long ago. You both told me to my face how bad I was.
You up the shit.
I won't say trash. Drastic improvements in there though.
But if I could do it, I genuinely believe that coaching can work for anybody.
So just to hit a little bit more on that for our coaching, when you become a Patreon member, you get access to the Patreon channels. A lot of great chats going there. A lot of active coaches, access to the coaches. And then we do the free monthly masterclass for the Patreon members. Right now, you can talk to people who has it in the Discord. Getting a lot of feedback from our first week it was launched. I got like 4 people that are already talking about how they've already went to an RTT or done stuff and love what they've heard from it. And we're just beginning. We're still learning. We're evolving. We've already added 3 new things to it that people suggested. So we will listen to the crowd, and the more Patreon people get, the more we'll start adding, the more we can do for you guys. I think it's gonna be a lot of fun. And then obviously we have the Monday video like we're doing right now. It's going to be me and Brad every week. We'll have people like Lyle and other coaches on there throughout there as well. Between 3 or 4 people every week.
There's 2 Brads.
There's
2 Brads.
Yeah. Brads?
They got a picture of the.
I love everything about this.
But like I said,
this looks like they put it up right before they're trying to look for the killer.
I think Heidi's been working that during the video.
We're gonna have the Monday. What do you want to call this, Brad? We need to name this something.
Monday Madness.
No,
I think we should still stick with Winehammer, but
yeah,
because that could work 2 different ways.
As soon as I'm able to drink again, I will definitely have a glass of wine in my hand, and we'll be an evening sophisticated show about all things nerdy.
Our show will have a title next week, I guess, and we'll come up with one. But you're going to have an hour with us, hour and a half, where we'll talk about some random nonsense. We'll talk about meta. We'll take questions. Every patron question will be answered throughout the show, and then we'll try to get to as many as we can as time permits that are actually in the live chat. We're not just trying to push patron. We want to be, if anyone knows DOG, we're all about helping the community, whether they're a patron or not. So we'll do our best to help everyone out.
I do need to talk about a time for the end of the week. Brad talks about nonsense show. So
100%.
So we'll do that, and we'll put it.
I think we could at least do an airport stream this week, Brad, if we wanted to.
Well, I want to talk about everything nonsense wise.
I think we should have a show where, like, if you're on it, you have to be drinking or smoking.
That's going to be that show.
That should be the Winehammer show. Yeah, maybe this is not Winehammer. Maybe that's Winehammer.
Yeah, that's.
I'll come on there with you, Brad. I won't smoke because we've seen what happens when I'm smoking pretty hardcore and the things I say. So I'll just be drinking on that show.
All of the things. Everybody, thanks for hanging out with us. We will see you
absolutely
soon.